Hello, magical humans of the interwebs. Welcome to eSpot Live. I am Ellie. This is Rodney. Rodney is my co-host and emotional support duck. It's good to be here. Good to see you. What I was gonna say, but I can't see you. Good to have you see me. Always just sounds way too creepy, but I say it anyways. I always start these with disclaimers. G-Man says good to be you too. Oh wait, what? Did I say good to be me? Is that what I said? Ah, that works. Works better than good to see. I don't know where I'm going with this. Disclaimers. That's where I'm going with this. Okay, good. G-Man says I did say it right. Wolf's in the chat. Hello, what's up? And Paige is here. Hello. This is super exciting. This is gonna be such a good day. Disclaimer-wise, I don't have any notifications saying that my internet's not working right. Knock on wood. However, this is just one of those days. By the way, I see Silly in that chat too. This is amazing, guys. Hello, Silly. Welcome. Ever had one of those days where you wake up and you don't know, like, where you are or why you are or what day it is or what year it is? And, like, I had one of those disorienting mornings where I just slept like the dead and woke up confused about everything in my life. So in preparation for this, I got all ready and then I had like a crisis of whether or not it was even Thursday. Silly says been there, but usually only after a lot of drinks. I didn't even drink anything. I don't think. I may have had a glass of wine with dinner, but like not that kind of drinking, because I've also been there. But yeah, no, anyways, that's my biggest disclaimer of the day, was I freaked out about 2 minutes before I went live on what day of the week it was. It is indeed Thursday, so I'm doing this on the right day, which is always good. But yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun today. I'm super, super glad there's already people in the chat, because that's going to make today an absolute blast. So, yeah, my disclaimer is my internet's working, but my brain is not, so we're just going to have fun. Yeah. As always, let me know. I had to do some adjustments with the sound today because of something I had set up a couple days ago. So if for whatever reason the music is too quiet, too loud, same with the mic, please do let me know. And I'll go ahead and make adjustments as needed. I think I got it back to what it's supposed to be. I did prepare, I promise, guys. Yeah. With all that said, thank you so much for the bits! Wolf! Yay! Also, there's gifted subs available. I don't actually fully understand how that works. I know I should, but I'm not the one who gifted them. But I know last time on Monday, Panda and Wolf both gifted subs. I think there are still some available, so I don't know if that's like something you claim or something that has to be like allocated to a specific person, but I know Panda wanted to see if we could get to a hype train today. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but that'd be super, super fun. And we're already off to a great start with, like I said, people actually chatting with me. Yay, that's always the best. Yeah, I think I very disjointedly covered all of the things I was supposed to cover in the intro. I feel like, I don't know, Rodney just, I had him like this and I was getting very strong side eye. I felt almost judged. He's my emotional support duck, so he doesn't judge me, but he gives me space to judge myself. I'm digging a hole, y'all. Hopefully this is amusing. Anyways, let's talk news. That's what eSpot Live is. I come on here live and ramble about topics in the entertainment industry news, one of those words. So it's a more fun way to get your entertainment news, because you get to watch me be awkward. And who wouldn't want to do that? Come on, let's be honest. First up to chat about is a new graphic novel, specifically celebrating the legacy of Prince, which is super, super cool. I was a little bit confused when I started kind of diving into this topic, but I really am excited for what they're doing with this. So, I mean, Prince fans around the world are still in mourning in a lot of ways over the musician's tragic and untimely death back in 2016, but his music just continues to inspire new generations of artists. And that is really, that kind of inspiration of new music is the theme, really, of MPLS Sound. So MPLS Sound is a brand new graphic novel from Humanoids. IGN went ahead and did an exclusive debut of a new preview of MPLS Sound ahead of its April 13th release, and so we get to hear a little bit about what we can look forward to in that. So this graphic novel is a collaboration between writers Joseph Illidge and Hannibal Tabu, artist Meredith Laxton, and colorist Tan Shu, and cover artist Jen Bartel. So a lot of really cool, talented people working on this project. The book is being published through Humanoid's Life-Drawn imprint, which specifically focuses on intimate personal stories anchored in the real world, rather than the science fiction tales for which Humanoid's generally known for. Rather than act as like a biography of Prince Rogers Nelson, the book really dives into explore his musical and cultural impact through the lens of a fictional through the lens of a fictional funk band called Starchild, based in Minneapolis. Words, there we go. So the story explores how this band, Starchild, as well as the lead singer Teresa Booker and the entire city of Minneapolis, are inspired by Prince's music, even as it also addresses the darker aspects of the singer's career and Minneapolis's recent history as well. So Illidge said in a press release, Prince was a nexus and catalyst of music history, and MPLS Sound is the story of how he changed the trajectory of fictional bandleader Teresa Booker's life. The way Purple Rain was a musical quasi-biography in film form, MPLS Sound is a romance, ballad, and musical drama in the graphic novel form. A narrative and visual homage to his purple goodness and the era of MTV's birth. Get ready for a journey of art and courage and the price of reaching for the sky. There is a certain level of expectation involved when trying to draw unique wardrobe and general aesthetic of controversy-era Prince, and many scenes throughout the book are inspired heavily by the flashiness of 80s funk. Ultimately, the story is about Teresa finding her own voice within the MPLS music scene, and her evolving style throughout the book showcases that. It can be really, really hard to learn that your heroes have feet of clay, if you will, but Prince's problematic issues of colorism and capricious business practices cannot overshadow his eventual philanthropy, that word, and gigantic musical legacy. So another quote says, here we got a taste of all of that while looking at some of the roots of the city that eventually killed George Floyd. Minneapolis is a complicated town, and its tragedies have left behind lives battered as much as its triumphs have inspired. MPLS Sound will be releasing in bookstores on Tuesday, April 13th, and comic shops on Wednesday, April 14th, so it's coming out next week. This is something that I think is pretty cool. Like I said, when I kind of was first diving into this, I was intrigued but unsure of where they were going with it, and I did kind of assume that biography, that it would be about Prince himself, but it's not. And I think that in some ways is going to be more powerful, which is really, really cool. I also really appreciate the fact that they're not shying away from the negative aspects of the city and life and history and everything else. They're not... It's not going to be a story about a kind of perfected individual. It's not a story about only the good things, right? It dives into the gritty, which I think is not only from a storytelling perspective good storytelling, but from a historical perspective, it's important, right? Like, I feel like our lack of doing that, historically speaking, has in a lot of ways added to what's going on right now in history. The fact that we don't always address the bad aspects. We don't always address negative things or the things people do wrong, especially after they pass away, because we want to honor them, right? But I think you can honor an individual while being honest. I think that's more honoring to an individual, to acknowledge, hey, this was their past, and then this is what they did with it, and isn't that amazing, right? So all that said, I just think this is really, really cool. I'm excited for this to release. Again, it's MPLS Sound. I don't know why I have such a hard time wrapping my mouth around those letters, but hey. Releasing next week. Comic book form, or graphic novel, rather, form. I think it's going to be a really cool story. I think that it's going to be a really important story, and I love that the story is going to be available for a wide range of audiences and dig into, like I said, the legacy of Prince, not just a specific sound or a biography or a very sanitized version. But yeah, I think that's super cool. I'm excited for it. If that's something that interests you, you can get at bookstores and comic shops mid-next week. That's all I really have on that particular topic, unless y'all have thoughts. I want to take a second to say welcome to Panda. Hello, hello. Thank you for being here in the chat. I did a shout out earlier, but hey. Silly says that is really cool. Prince is an icon. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I think it's awesome. And like I said, I think it's even more honoring to acknowledge the full picture. And yeah. And then Wolf says, us have thoughts, we not allowed to do that. I'm not quite sure what that means. You have thoughts that you can't share here? Is that where that's going? I don't know. But yeah. Anyways, everybody's welcoming Panda to the chat. Woo! I'm going to keep an eye on the chat, because I'm curious to see if the conversation is going to continue about that topic. In the meantime, I'm going to move on to the next topic. And the next one is a petition that has been going around to have LeVar Burton for the next Jeopardy host. That has been officially endorsed by none other than Dick Van Dyke. It's just fantastic. So, a little bit of background on this. Back in November, we talked about beloved Jeopardy host Alex Trebek passing away at the age of 80 after an incredible battle with pancreatic cancer. Since that final episode that he filmed aired, there's been a search for a permanent host of the show that has been continued on, and they've had a handful of people come in as temporary hosts, including greatest of all time winner Ken Jennings, series executive producer Mike Richards, TV presenter Katie Couric, and Dr. Oz, amongst others. Silly asked if it's been approved by LeVar Burton. I'll get there. He does want it, yeah. So, yeah, all of these guest hosts they've had, but one person seems to want it more than anyone, and that is LeVar Burton himself. So he recently shared the petition. He didn't start it, as far as I know, but he shared the petition that requested that he get the gig. Silly's like, okay, whew. Fair. I probably should have led with that. I didn't even necessarily think of that because I'm coming in with all of the information. And we have seen that happen before, where people are like, this needs to happen! And then the person they're talking about is like, maybe not. I've got other things planned. And not the case with this, or it doesn't seem to be, because like I said, he himself did share the petition. In case you don't know, LeVar Burton is known for Star Trek The Next Generation, as well as Reading Rainbow. And yeah, he's got a lot of support for this. A lot of people are rooting for him, including legendary comedic actor Dick Van Dyke. So he shared a link for a petition on change.org, which was started by fans to have Burton become the new host of the popular game show on his Twitter account. The petition's description says, between hosting 21 seasons of the educational Reading Rainbow, playing the brainiac engineer Geordi LaForge on Star Trek The Next Generation, and filling the role of Kunta Kinte in the ever-important miniseries Roots, LeVar Burton has inspired and shaped the minds of several generations of trivia-loving nerds. This petition is to show Sony Pictures Entertainment Inc. and producers Mike Richards and Harry Friedman just how much love the public has for Burton and how much we'd all love to see him as the next host of Jeopardy! Before passing, Trebek himself made it clear that he had planned to stay on Jeopardy for, quote, as long as his skills have not diminished. In fact, he filmed 35 episodes that had yet to be aired by the time he passed away. I'm still kind of in awe of, it feels almost cheap to say his accomplishments, but I don't know how else to say that. Just how hard he fought and how much he gave for this show, how much he adored it. And the fact that he worked so hard and dedicated everything to the show up until the very end. And I've got so much respect for that, so much awe for Alex Trebek. As Silly says, he was truly a gem. It's very, very true. So again, his perspective was, I'm going to give it my all until the very end. But when asked about whether or not he would want to take place in deciding his eventual replacement, he's quoted as saying, from a TV Line interview at the Television Critics Association Winter Press Tour last January, he's quoted as saying, "It's not a decision that would be up to me, and I would not make myself available to presenting an opinion. I would leave it to the people in charge." So his perspective was very much, it's my baby until it's not. He poured everything into it, and kind of just left it in the hands of the producers, and was very trusting in that, which I also think is pretty cool. There have been other previously announced guest hosts for Jeopardy that will appear on television in the coming months, and that's going to include 60 Minutes host Bill Whitaker, The Big Bang Theory star Mayim Bialik, which I'm super excited for, and presenters Anderson Cooper, Savannah Guthrie, and Dr. Sanjay Gupta. So they do have a lineup of temporary hosts. The show's not going anywhere anytime soon, but they are still looking for that permanent presenter. So I would love to see LeVar Burton on the show in some capacity. Even if it's a temporary guest host, I would just love to see that. But they will need a permanent host. If it's something that he wants, I think he would be an excellent job or person for that position. G-Man says 2 CNN anchors / correspondents in that lineup. Interesting. It is interesting. I have no clue how they're choosing the presenters. I kind of wonder if they're like, well, yeah, Silly says maybe owned by the same media corporation. I kind of wonder if it's how much of it is them reaching out to specific people and how much of it is like all of these celebrities, I guess. Wanting to be on it, if they just have a backlist of people going, ooh, pick me. Because I imagine if I was in that kind of position, I'd want to be a part of that. There's a lot going on there. Though me being me, I would just butcher it hardcore. So maybe it's good that I'm not in that position. But yeah, I'm personally invested in this now. Not that I haven't been before. I've been kind of watching periphery. I have a lot of nostalgia associated with Jeopardy because I think as most, this is true for most people my age as a kid, it's gonna be on the background of some TV somewhere, the adults watching Jeopardy. But I never necessarily was the one. I even have friends who have been on like the kids version of Jeopardy and whatnot. So yeah, it's something that I'm familiar with for sure. It's such a I don't even know. It's like deeply rooted. It's one of those things that you know of and are familiar with, and it's like nostalgic and almost comforting, whether or not you ever watched it yourself. So I've been kind of watching it from the sidelines, and now I'm a little bit more invested because I'm curious as to what they're gonna do. And like I said, it's fun to watch people rally behind certain things. I love the fact that both LeVar Burton and Dick Van Dyke have shared this petition. So yeah, I'll keep an eye out on this for y'all, of course. And when there's an announced presenter that's going to stay for good, well, you'll probably hear it from somewhere, but you'll also hear it from me, and I'll get to babble excitedly about it. Woohoo! I love what's going on in the chat right now. Apparently I'm a celebrity to all three of my viewers. No, I appreciate that. We all know that I'm too tongue-tied to host something like Jeopardy. But I love the support. Thank you for the bits! Yay, Panda. Ellie the celebrity. Oh, this is fun. Okay. I'm blushing, guys. Alright. Yeah, that was nice and distracting. What day is Ellie Day again? I'll take celebration any day of the week. Can there be cake? Or is the cake a lie? Anyways, something chocolate. We're good. I'm way sidetracked. It's all good. So the next thing to chat about. Silly says every day is Ellie Day. I approve of that sentiment. I will take chocolate cake any day of the week. It's actually probably a little bit problematic that I genuinely will eat chocolate cake any day of the week. Try to limit myself with how much I actually purchase it. Fun fact, I've eaten an entire chocolate cake in one sitting before. The only disclaimer I have with that to make it less gross is the fact that I was on a cycling trip at the time. And so I was burning tens of thousands of calories a day. Still, not my finest hour. I did try to share the cake, but I was just eating it and chatting with people and trying to convince other people to have some cake, and nobody wanted it. And then, you know, I finished 2/3 of it, and what am I gonna do? Save 2/3 of a cake to cycle with the next day? I should have done that. I was so sick afterwards. It was great. Anyways, that's not entertainment news, but you're welcome. Next up in actual entertainment news, Yahoo Answers is officially shutting down next month, which is such a bittersweet thing to talk about. 16 years, guys. 16 years of absolutely asinine questions and dubious answers. Yahoo Answers is officially shutting down next month. The company has announced that starting on April 20th, users will not be able to post new questions or answer other people's questions. And then on May 4th, the site will officially become inaccessible and will redirect to the Yahoo homepage. So if you have crazy questions to throw into Yahoo Answers, get it done now. Because this is your last shot. We got like 2 weeks left on this, and then next month it's shutting down for good. So users who have posted questions and answers in the past will be able to download their data via request before June 30th of 2021. An announcement went out to users as spotted by the good people of the subreddit Data Hoarder, saying, while Yahoo Answers was once a key part of Yahoo's products and services, it has become less popular over the years as the needs of our members have changed. So, you know, before we had social networks like Reddit or Twitter to ask silly shit about whatever we wanted in relative anonymity and anonymity. Anyways, without telling people who we are, before all of that was available on different social media sites, we had Yahoo Answers. It's an absolute relic, and it will forever live in the memories of most people, most millennials, frankly. Specifically, I feel like millennials, like, above the age of 30 who use the internet without a ton of parental supervision. You can log in and post questions to the world that you might be too embarrassed to ask your closest friends in real life. They say there's no such thing as a stupid question. They have not read Yahoo Answers. Yahoo really stress test that theory of no stupid question. And there were definitely stupid answers. I mean, there have been classics that have become memes in their own rights, like, how is Babby formed? Or how girl get pregnant? How do people on Jeopardy know the answers? Can a laptop get heavier if I put more files on it? And for the gamers out there, What kind of animal is Sonic the Hedgehog? Yahoo Answers, you will be missed. You beautiful, beautiful website. Silly says in the chat, Yahoo Answers is classic. It really, really is. Wolf's gifted some bits. Thank you for that. Oh goodness. I'm trying to remember if I ever used Yahoo Answers. I know I considered it a couple of times. I don't remember what the questions were for. But you know, teenage angst, you have questions about things. Panda. Can you burn? Yeah, can you burn a Luigi board? I do remember that one. There's a whole song about that one, isn't there? Goodness. It's just, I feel like this is truly the end of an era. And, I'm a little bit sad that, you know, the next generation won't get to experience the glorious, misdirection that was Yahoo Answers. I feel like any sort of answering service, though, for lack of a better term, that allows people to just upvote the best answers, there's just, that goes beyond allowing human, like, error into encouraging it. I don't even know. I just, legitimately, I feel like Yahoo Answers will be missed. Hopefully it will be, in some way, shape, or form, like, archived. Frankly, once it's on the internet, it's there forever. I'm sure somehow, even though the site itself is being shut down, it's going to be saved some way. I would kind of love for it to get a little bit of a resurgence on TikTok before it goes, just to really expand into the next generation. Give Gen Z just a solid taste of what it means to memeify Yahoo Answers. Wolf says, I asked it, why does Yahoo sucks? Aw. And Silly mentions the utter chaos involved in it. And then Wolf says it frozen booted me. I mean, there's apparently at least some moderation on the Yahoo Answers. I feel like I could talk about this particular topic for a while because of the nostalgia element to it, but oh goodness, my hair's a mess today. I feel like I should move on to the next topic. Next to chat about is a little bit of behind the scenes on Resident Evil, specifically Davy Dimitrescu's design, which actually started with RE7's Mia. Interesting thing there. Oh, Panda redeemed Hydrate. I appreciate that. I actually kind of needed that. I'm gonna have to get like a clear water bottle or something so I can prove that it's water. Though, frankly, I'm a little obsessed with water, so what else would it be? Anyways, during a recent interview, Resident Evil Village art director Tomonori Takano divulged that original prototypes for Lady Dimitrescu were based on like a reused Mia character models from RE7. So Alcina Dimitrescu, aka Lady Dimitrescu, quickly became an overnight sensation when Capcom began sharing first details about RE Village earlier this year. The lady's appearance in PS5's maiden demo especially sealed the deal on the public's fascination with her, as it really reinforced her towering height and made the character seem all the more terrifying and eerily alluring. So, of course, the confirmation that the character stands at a staggering 9'6" I thought I was tall, really worked to further intrigue the internet, which now celebrates the character with cosplay, fan art, and outlandish theories that posit what she may have in store for Ethan Winters once Resident Evil Village drops next month. But art director Takano, speaking with IGN about the evolution of her character, said that the vampire lady has been part of the development team's plans for RE Village since the very beginning. But she did not begin as the enigmatic tall lady that we know and love today. According to Takano, prototypes for Lady Dimitrescu started with reused character models of Resident Evil 7's Mia. The developers adorned the character model in a dress and hat, initially thinking that that might be enough to give her that ghost-like quality, but then said that they couldn't make her scary. So they decided to make the character model much larger, and that was the true beginning of Lady Dimitrescu. The design came together after Takano drew concept art depicting the Countess as stooping down to pass through a doorway, he added. So the crew then attempted to craft an environment that would best befit the design. Thus, Castle Dimitrescu was born. Director Morimasa Sato divulged that in an attempt to make the lady even more terrifying, he and the team toyed with ideas of devising more creature-like qualities for her, but then they figured that the towering physique worked well to make her feel like that imposing boss figure. It's kind of really strange to think that this character started off as a reused Mia character model, then kind of evolved into the tall lady that we've seen. I absolutely adore the behind the scenes of literally anything. I'm fascinated with it. I always have been, even before I started kind of working and getting to see it a little more hands-on. But yeah, it's just character development and how it works. I feel like is something that we don't really think about a lot as a consumer, right? But I don't know. I just love this idea that they had this character in mind, and it was like this vague idea, and so just to kind of start somewhere, they kind of used something already in existence, right? And then they took that and just changed it and shaped it and tweaked it until they started building a full character, backstory, location, and all of this just out of that idea. Human creativity will never cease to amaze me. I absolutely adore it. You know, the Gothic castle itself that she resides in only came into the picture because of her final form being compelling and large and all of these things. So I just, I think it's so cool how the theme of an entire game can come up from just that one little seed, right? I love it. So RE Village is going to be a direct follow-up to the events of RE7. It places Ethan Winters and his wife Mia at the center stage, once again. This time, Ethan finds himself trapped in the titular village, facing all manner of ghoulish creatures such as vampires and werewolves, and who knows what other horror awaits. So make sure you're keeping an eye on DVSI Twitch channel, by the way, which is where we are right now. So keep an eye on it because a few members of our team are absolutely clamoring at the chance to stream it and let y'all see their reactions. Also, I'm just gonna throw out, I'm open to it. I'm not big on horror, but I'm definitely open to it. We'll see how it goes. Real quick, catching up on the chat. Oh, talking about the water. Silly saying, I bet it's actually rum and you've been lying to us all along. Yes, she has the white rum. It's not rum. I'm kind of actually really happy with the fact that you think I can just chug rum without any sort of response, which almost feels like a challenge, but it's not. I'm not opposed to rum. I actually quite like rum. I think I like whiskey a little bit more than rum. But I need water, as do we all. Will says it's because I'm badass. I appreciate that. Secret power move. I have before. It is a power move. It really, really is. There's very little that is a bigger power move than chugging straight liquor in front of a group of macho people. I've got so many stories there, but this is not the place for those stories. Since we're doing shameless self-plugs, tune in to Elevated. Bring up whatever topics you want while I'm butchering my way through Portal and other games. Anyways, rum is not liquor? What would you consider rum? Anyways, it's time for a water break. Why not? Also, I feel like I do need to point out that when I say a bunch of us at DVSI want to play this. I don't just mean me. Like I said, I'm down for it. I'm open to it. We'll see. But I know that there are people who have been waiting for this and super excited about it. So either way, it's worth tuning in. Rum is rum. It's boiled sugar. Liquor is not. I need to look up the definition of liquor now, but I'm pretty sure different liquors are made from different things. And rum is liquor made from sugar, I think. Right? No? Hold up. Alright, now I'm questioning everything I ever knew in life. I'm gonna do some Googling on my water break, but let's emphasize that this is indeed a water break regardless of the Googles. This is my water bottle. It has water in it. I don't know if I can fully prove it. I don't know what you guys can see. It's water, I promise. Also, if I ever do drink not water, it would not be in my water bottle. This is a relic from time gone by when I cycled across the country, and I'm very, very picky about what kind of beverages I put in my water bottle. Silly beat me to the Google search. If only we still had Yahoo Answers. Wikipedia says rum is a liquor made by fermenting, then distilling sugarcane molasses or sugarcane juice. Booyah! Mic drop. Thank you, Silly. So it is indeed liquor made from sugar. There we go. Now that we've had this lovely, enlightening discussion on liquor, water. Drink some water. I feel like I preach that to you every single time, and I will never stop because your kidneys need water to survive. I learned this the hard way. Don't be like me. Water. I'll be right back. See, drinking water doesn't even take a long time. The conversation continued, and I kind of love that. Silly said, "You caught me, Wolf. I went and edited it. Oh gosh, edited it. Super fast, just to be right. I didn't think that through before I read it aloud. Silly says, just kidding. I wouldn't be allowed mod privileges. I adore this kind of audience interaction going on. It's super fun. Edited it. Wow. That is really difficult to say. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the next topic. And fittingly enough, it's a little bit more behind the scenes. Very, very different context. That was a lot of us, but whatever. But, there we go again. Now I'm gonna overthink all of my uhs and ums for the rest of this eSpot Live. Good thing it's live. Can't be edited. Right? I'm hilarious, guys. Okay. Anyways, this particular behind the scenes comes from a recent interview with Blade Runner star Edward James Olmos, where he says that the movie's most iconic line was actually ad-libbed. And he himself was really surprised that Ridley Scott didn't end up cutting it in the end. So, for those of you who don't know, Olmos starred in the cult classic 1982 sci-fi movie as Gaff, who is a fellow Blade Runner in the same department as Harrison Ford's Rick Deckard. We've got something going on in the chat. Who's excited for tomorrow's stream? Wait, what? Almost was in Blade Runner? Yes! Almost was in Blade Runner. But, like, not... Hold on. Words are difficult. He had a relatively small role, but he did get, obviously, some lines. And, one of the really, really iconic lines came from the character Gaff. He's this mysterious shadowy figure that kind of pops in and out of the movie. So not, like, the main character, by any means, but kind of pops in, drops some gold, pops out, right? And that kind of final scenes, his character tells Deckard, too bad she won't live, but then again, who does? And that kind of became a really iconic line because it's considered by some one of the most profound lines from a sci-fi movie in general, as it really sums up Blade Runner's central themes of identity, existentialism, what it means to be human, all in just a few words. Despite appearing on screen for just a fraction of the running time, Olmos' Gaff character is one of the best remembered characters, partly due to that line. And the actor even reprised the role in Denis Villeneuve's 2017 sequel, Blade Runner 2049, appearing in a single scene opposite Ryan Gosling's replicant K. Now, he's revealed that this famous line was not in the script. Speaking to the AV Club, Olmos reveals that he ad-libbed Gaff's iconic line, calling it wonderful, because he could not believe that the director, Ridley Scott, decided to keep his ad-lib in the final cut of the movie. He goes on to explain why he ad-libbed that line, and revealed that he was the only one who knew that Deckard was a replicant, and he felt it was a subtle hint at the character's true nature. For audiences, it's clear why Scott kept the line in Blade Runner, as it really is this succinct and poetic encapsulation of the movie's central themes. But this was, you know, at the time, Olmos was a young actor near the beginning of his career, and he was really worried that he might have said something or done something that he wasn't supposed to, or that Scott wouldn't have wanted. Now, though, he clearly appreciates the poetry of the line and is proud enough to take ownership of it as one of the best quotes from Blade Runner. The line is not his only contribution. He reportedly came up with a lot of Gaff's backstory, helped invent the futuristic Los Angeles street language that he uses in the movie. But with this revelation, it could be argued that his greatest contribution to the movie was this one ad-libbed line. Because that line kind of helped cement Blade Runner as a sci-fi classic in a lot of ways. One which audiences keep returning to now almost 40 years after it was first released in theaters. I love everything about that. Yeah, I just love everything about that. I love improv. I love ad-libbing. I love... It's really, really interesting. I feel like it's... how difficult it is not only to ad-lib appropriately, but to do so in a way that fits in with editing is harder than people realizing. Ellie trivia time, you on the spot. Right? This entire thing is, for the most part, ad-libbing, right? I have topics to chat about, and then I just run with it, but that's the format of the show. When you have something like a film, we know of a few, there's a few, like, really iconic ad-libs, right, that everybody talks about, and everybody loves. The whole, I'm walking here, all that kind of thing. Like, those are the ones that everybody knows. What most people don't think about is how difficult that kind of thing is. Like I said, both from the actor's perspective, but also from the director, editor, all of that perspective. Because any sort of scene that you're filming is going to have multiple, it's going to have multiple takes, multiple angles. There are going to be takes where one person's mic'd and the other's not. There's so many elements to behind the scenes of filming something like this, right? So, depending on the format of the show, some films, TV shows, etc. are built around improv as a central theme. That does happen. But a lot of times these dramatic or sci-fi shows are not. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Sometimes people forget lines. Sometimes people add lines. You know, there's all these things. But to actually get it so a one-off ad-libbed line makes it into the final cut is a really big deal. Because also worth noting is sometimes when an ad-libbed line is really appreciated by the director, they'll have you use it in other takes. But sometimes it really is just a once-off, one take, one whatever. And the probability of that being used when there's probably dozens of other takes with another line is very, very slim. So there's so much going on behind the scenes of a one-off ad-lib line being added in and becoming the central theme of a film. So, yeah. I think there's a lot going on there. I think it's really cool. I want to catch up on the chat really quick. All right. Ellie trivia time, on the spot. What was the movie that came out before Tron or Blade Runner that depicted a man being uploaded to the net? I missed it, because the answer's already there. I didn't know that, though. So, Silly says it's definitely The Matrix. Wolf says, nope, Lawnmower Man. Yeah, I believe The Matrix was after this. I think. I should know this. I do know this somewhere in my brain, but Matrix it's not that long ago, I don't think. Because Blade Runner is 1982. My brain is telling me The Matrix was the 90s, but I could actually also just be very wrong. That happens. But Silly saying Lawnmower Man came out in 1992, my dude. Interesting. I should know this stuff, but I don't. Also, it's really hard to Google while I'm streaming. Just so that's my disclaimer. Because typically I would just Google this stuff. And then the /S means sarcasm. Also good to know. I feel like this is a brilliant time to talk about the fact that I don't know how to millennial. I love learning things. Okay, so sarcasm, that's actually really, really helpful. But now we're chatting Lawnmower Man. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that one. Still don't know when Matrix was released, but like I said, my brain wants to say 90s, but eh. Also, I want to shout out Silly's chat of definitely don't watch the director's cut for your first watch of Blade Runner, just for your info. They cut most of Deckard's narration, and it was very confusing. Appreciated. Alright. That got super confusing, mostly for me, so... Alright, Silly says Matrix came out in late 90s. I'm not insane. Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and go back to my original disclaimer that I started the show with, that my brain started the day disoriented. So not only is this info that I might not know on a regular day, but this is just not my day for trivia, apparently. Yet another reason I could not be on Jeopardy. On either end. Nice. So all that said, I do not know the answer to the question. There we go. All right, moving right along before I dig this hole any deeper. Electronic Arts has patented an adaptive difficulty system that adjusts to specific players with the express purpose of keeping you playing longer. Which is fascinating. All right, so this system dynamically adjusts how difficult a game is to play, but revealed in EA's patent application, the system does this with this express aim to keep players active for longer periods of time. At least they're honest. So the patent was filed back in October of last year, but it was established and published at the end of March 2021. And it describes its system that can perform automatic granular adjustments to a game in order to change the difficulty of the experience. So there have been similar systems in place, used by Resident Evil 4, Left 4 Dead, a bunch of games where the system monitors players' performance and uses that data to inform enemy behavior. However, EA seems to have an additional or perhaps even alternative motive behind just aiding players to overcome a game's difficulty curve. So outlined in the patent's abstract, this system can, quote, review historical user activity data with respect to one or more video games to generate a game retention prediction model, end quote. So this model is then used to predict how long the user is expected to play for. Using this prediction, the dynamic difficulty system can calibrate the challenge to make sure you play for that full duration. So more detail on the intention for the system is provided in the background section of the patent. So here, EA states that, quote, software developers typically desire for their software to engage users for as long as possible, end quote. Makes sense. The company then notes that one of the challenges of game development is to design a game with a difficulty level that is most likely to keep a user engaged for a longer period of time. So this dynamic difficulty adjustment system, it would seem, is EA's answer to that question, or issue, rather. So difficulty is a hugely important issue in game design. The concept of adaptive difficulty is a very attractive one, because every player is different, right? And every player has different requirements when it comes to challenge. But the description within this EA patent is really incredibly developer/publisher focused rather than the emphasis being on the player. But it's like focusing on like player data to meet the needs of the publisher and developer, which is really interesting, I think. So it raises kind of more questions about what it will do, for instance, when faced with players who only play infrequently for short durations at a time. So is the difficulty going to be adjusted to ensure adequate progress is made in that window, or is it going to be changed to try to encourage the user to keep playing longer than their data suggests they normally do? In the chat, we've got, first of all, a petition for Ellie to host Jeopardy! And then we have Silly saying, yeah, I don't like this. Let me play it on easy like always. Once I beat it on easy a bunch, then maybe we can bump it up to normal. My question with this, from a psychological perspective, is this difficulty adaptation to make it easier or harder? Because I feel like each player is different from what they want, right, from a game. And that might be difficult to determine based solely on length of gameplay. So I'm absolutely fascinated by this particular patent, by this game design. And I don't know how it's going to work. Because for somebody like me, even, I feel like I'm brand new to the gaming world, right? I've only played a few times. I'm learning about how it works. I'm having a lot of fun with it. But I feel like you need a certain amount of challenge to keep you engaged, right? Because if you solve a puzzle and the next puzzle is the same or easier, that's not as fun. But at the same time, if it gets progressively difficult, once you spend a certain amount of time, thinking and using your brain and whatever, and then you get to this point in time, I feel like an increased difficulty would actually kind of encourage me to turn it off sooner, because I'd get to a point where it's like, I'm kind of done for the day, right? This is just too much, because it's increasing in difficulty each level or each however period of time for other games, however that works. So I wonder if this is like, does it cycle through difficulty? Does it like say, okay, this person's been on for an hour, so let's like tone it back a little bit and rebuild that difficulty to kind of rehook them? Because that's fascinating to me. I am just completely intrigued, because we know what they're planning. We know why they're planning it. All this is included in the patent. But exactly how, we don't necessarily know. Again, we just know that their aim is to keep players going for longer periods of time. So I am absolutely fascinated. I feel like some people look at this and think it's a negative thing in a way, but it, for me, is just kind of a logical, sensible next step for any sort of gaming. It makes sense, right? Developers want you playing their game. Publishers want you playing their game. If you're playing for a long period of time, if you're a streamer, all of these things. There's so many elements to this. So it really does make sense. I'm not bothered by it at all. I'm mostly just intrigued and curious. So obviously, if there's more info, we will share it with you. But other than that, that's all I really have on that particular topic for today. I'm going to catch up in the chat. Wolf says, the Shire thought of it, making one think is the psychology of it, which it just worked. Is the Shire a game? It probably is. But yeah, so like I said, you want a game to make you think, but you also, I don't know, I feel like don't want to think too much. Or maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm the only one who like will focus for a specific amount of time and then just be like, all right, we're done. That's enough braining for one day, and I don't know if that's normal or not, but I do know I'm not normal, so there's that. Silly says I have issues with it for accessibility reasons. I'm really curious as to what you mean by that. How do you think that this particular model would change accessibility? Wouldn't it actually, like, I feel like if you're going by each individual user's personal data, wouldn't it increase accessibility? Because if you have somebody who, for whatever reason, can't focus on traditional gameplay for a certain period of time, then theoretically, this adaptivity would allow for the game to, like I said, I'm assuming decrease as well as increase difficulty, which I feel like would kind of even that playing field a little bit. So for those who, like myself, might be able to focus for a certain period of time and then need a little bit of a break, if hypothetically speaking, this software can anticipate that or can determine that through my historic gameplay, right? Then having it kind of like build in difficulty for, like I said, an hour, say, and then ease back on that a little bit, allow my brain a little time to reset, then I can continue playing for that longer period of time. But I feel like I also might have missed your point. So I'm very, very curious as to kind of what you're thinking with that, with accessibility and everything. Silly says, how does it know if I'm colorblind, for instance, if I'm having trouble with a puzzle? Will it make the puzzle easier? Will it fix the color palette? That's really interesting. I feel like that's definitely an issue that should be addressed 100%. But I don't know if it's an issue that would be addressed with this particular concept. I think this particular concept is focusing on, because the focus and the emphasis is on duration of play, I think this particular software is going to be focused on things like concentration, focus, things of that nature, more so than something like fixing the color palette. I think while that is an issue that most definitely should be addressed, specifically in color games, I think it would be a different set of software, a different thing, a different setting. Silly says, I mean, I have to assume they'll still keep some accessibility options, but it can't just Sherlock inside my head. Also, thanks, Wolf. I'll keep that in mind. Wolf had said, that is simple. It is the time response to the pattern in a particular order. Interesting. Huh. I actually... So I'm not familiar with what accessibility options are out there for gamers. That's something that I should look into, just so I better understand what I'm talking about, but also something that I would like to look into for myself with sound cues, if nothing else. I have asymmetrical hearing, which means I have difficulty doing things like locating noises and whatever in real life. Also pulling one noise out of many. And so when I've been playing around with adjustments, something I've never needed to do before, increasing the volume on one side and decreasing it on the other, so it makes it equal, so I can better, when I'm in a gaming world or whatever, adjust to things of that nature. And obviously that's very simplified for what I need versus what other people need. Adjustments with sounds. If there are specific sound cues in the game and you're hard of hearing or deaf, those are clearly not the correct cues for you as a player, right? Same with color blindness. If it's a bunch of visual cues, you need something, right, to make that accessible for people who would not pick up on those specific cues. So that is something that I definitely want to learn more about, because I don't know what exists in the gaming world for that. But yeah, I think, like I said, my brain's keeping that as a separate issue from this one in particular. Whether or not that's I'm right in that, I don't know, because I don't know enough about it, if it really should be integrated, or if it's a completely separate issue that, you know, as always, as with every other area in life, we as humans need to work on accessibility. We're not very good at it. But we're growing, and I think that's a good thing. I'm going to catch up on the chat because Silly is informing me some more, which is awesome. Silly says, there's been a recent increase in focus on accessibility in games, and I don't know if this is a step in the right direction. As in, if this particular software is a step in the right direction. Okay. It depends on the game, varying widely, but sometimes it means no or easier quick-time events, like button smashing, different color palettes or filters, etc. Some people might argue that it's up to the player to find games that work for them, but if games are more accessible, more people would buy them. I definitely agree with you on that. I think it's so easy in many areas of life to say, oh, we'll just find something that works for you, which, okay, fine, but you're missing out on a massive demographic of people if you just refuse to serve them in this way, right? And if someone with color blindness can only play 3 games, this is just a random number I'm pulling, by the way, because they will adapt for that player, then they're less likely to game in general, right? If the vast majority of games are inaccessible to you, regardless of why, whether it's because you can't use the controls properly, or that was not a good way to word that. If it's because you can't use the same types of controls as the general population, or you can't, whether it's see or hear or whatever that case may be, trying to think of like kind of where I'm going with this. There's the perspective of just, it's the right thing to do to include people from, you know, back in kindergarten, we kind of started to learn this, but also from a business perspective, there is a much larger demographic that is not neurotypical, able-bodied, fully sensed, I'm not sure of the appropriate words, but there's a massive, massive population of people that are not what some people would claim are normal, or whatever the case may be. And so from just a purely business perspective, ignoring those people is not the best option, right? And I have seen more and more, and I've gotten to talk even on eSpot Live a bit about different things that have been happening to really include people, to make games more accessible. And I think that's awesome, that's happening. I still think, like, focusing on the length of time any given user is playing any specific game I think their perspective is from more of a psychological / brain fatigue-esque perspective. And so I do, like I said, 100% think that they also need to be dealing with other things. But I think something like a color correcting palette thing would be a separate, still needing to be focused on. But that's not something that they can get into. Like you said before, Silly, that's not something that they can read your mind on of what you need in that. That would have to be a setting you'd have to input, I suppose. But yeah, Silly says that's fair. I know that there are games that I've bought that I can't play well for whatever reason / issues that have not been covered in reviews, and games are often non-refundable. That's a really good point, and I think that's something that we do need more focus on, is when when people are producing a game or whatever, that should be something that is reviewed, right? That should be, if you're not going to make a game accessible for whatever reason, and maybe not every game can be accessible, fine, but let that be known before, you know, you're selling this to a broader market than you can serve, right? There's a lot of things there that definitely I think we as just the entertainment industry in general, but also we as humans need to work on. Like I said, just I feel like we're fighting to relearn that basic concept of, you know, treat others the way you want to be treated, and inclusion is a good thing. You know, like... So we're in an interesting place, I think, in society, but I do see more and more companies purposing to make things accessible and purposing to learn and to grow and apologize for past mistakes and everything. So I'm grateful to be around in this time where I have more like news like that to share. But we definitely have work to do, 100%. And I'm kind of excited to see that happening. I feel like I could continue on with this for a very, very long time, but I do have a couple more topics to cover, and this has already been running longer than it usually does, which I don't mind if you guys don't mind, but I do feel like I should jump into some other topics. Of course, if y'all have more to say, please do share in the chat. I'll address it as I can, and I'm loving this so much. I loved digging into the meteor topics, so thank you for bringing that up, because that's... yeah, something I didn't necessarily plan on chatting about today, but is super important to acknowledge. So thank you, Silly and Wolf. Another kind of meaty topic is Twitch is expanding their harassment policies to include harassment that doesn't happen on their site. And I think that that's super important. I just got distracted by the chat because Carrie's here. Hello, welcome. Oh, it's so good to see you in the chat. Very interesting discussion to hop in on. I'm so glad that you could join. Oh, this makes my heart very happy. And yeah. Oh, awesome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So good to see you here. Yeah. That's a bit distracting. Sorry. So this new Twitch policy, I think, is a step in the right direction that's going to probably upset certain people. All that said, so Twitch is now going to be banning users who harass members of its community, even when that harassment takes place off of Twitch. So the streaming platform has announced a major expansion of its off-service misconduct policy today that allows it to take action against users who mistreat people regardless of where it happens, whether it's offline or on another social platform. So this new policy officially splits misconduct into two categories. Category 1 applies to harassment that takes place on and off Twitch, and Category 2 applies to only harassment that is off of Twitch. So the first category has not changed. That's been in place. If Twitch is reviewing a harassment report about something that happened on stream, it will take into account related harassment on other platforms like Facebook. The second category, however, is entirely new. So now if Twitch finds out about, quote, serious offenses that pose a substantial safety risk to the Twitch community, end quote, it will take action even when those offenses took place entirely off the platform. So the company is currently defining serious offenses as incidents of violent extremism, credible threats of mass violence, membership in a known hate group, sexual exploitation of children, and non-consensual sexual activities, among others. Twitch is bringing on a third-party law firm in order to assist with off-platform investigations. These investigations are vastly more complex and can take significantly more time and resources to resolve, according to a blog post that the company wrote. So for behaviors that take place off Twitch, we must rely more heavily on law enforcement and other services to share relevant evidence before we can move forward. A spokesperson for the company declined to give the name of the law firm that they're working with. This move comes after Twitch overhauled its harassment policy last December. I did talk about that a bit ago. The changes include stricter rules around sexual harassment, a ban on promoting hateful opinions under the pretense of comedy. In June of 2020, the company faced a reckoning around sexual harassment and assault, with multiple women coming forward to say it had not done enough to protect them. While some of those incidents took place on the streaming platform, others happened off-site, but involving members of the Twitch community. So one streamer stated that an adult began sending them sexual messages on Twitch when they were 15 years old. In the official announcement yesterday, Twitch said that it is focusing on the most egregious types of physical and psychological harm to start with, but implied that it could expand the off-service harassment policy later on. The company also said that it will suspend users who submit a large number of fake reports. So that's so important. I'm going to take a second to catch up on the chat really quick. Carrie says, happy to be here. Missed you all. We missed you too. There's been a lot going on in the world. So I'm really glad to see you back in the chat. Silly says, that's so great. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of whiny people, but there's so many social media sites that don't do anything about anything. This is one of the best things I've heard in a while, because there's a lot of hate and harassment that happens sometimes in the game industry. I agree wholeheartedly. I don't know if I have words for how happy I am about this. I think that, okay, so cybercrime in general is something that fascinates me. I've said before that I have a little bit of background in criminology, and crimes, harassment, etc., that happen online is a brand new, legally speaking, phenomenon that legality and so laws and law enforcement, etc., has had a hard time keeping up with, because the online existence, right, is changing so rapidly, and laws take a long time. And so what we've seen is people have been able to use laws that exist in other realms to set precedents to apply them to different criminal activity online, but it's been very, very difficult. And so to see a company step up and acknowledge that not enough is being done is super, super important. And I just, all of the respect in the world for this happening. And I know, like I said, it's going to be upsetting to some people, because some people are going to be like, well, if it didn't happen on Twitch, it doesn't matter. But see, that's not true, right? We've seen so much, especially in the last year, we've seen how something happening negatively on one corner of the interwebs impacts all of it, right? Especially with things like, for example, the example given, right, is a Twitch user who began being probably an attempt at grooming with these sexual comments when they were 15, and continuing on for years, because most likely a huge portion of that didn't necessarily happen on the Twitch platform. So knowing that Twitch is going to listen to users who are concerned for whatever reason, knowing that Twitch is going to, first of all, they're acknowledging it might take some time, because there's far more elements to investigations that don't occur on their platform, but knowing that they're going to give that time to those investigations, I think is just super, super important. Also, I think it's important to they're addressing the trolls that are going to spam their system right off the bat, right? So it has already said that they're going to suspend users who submit a large number of fake reports. That is also, anytime you introduce a new thing like this, that's super important. So good on them for getting ahead of that. But yeah, just to know that as a creator on Twitch, right, I am protected by the platform, not only on the platform, but also if I'm starting to get things that make me feel unsafe on other platforms. You know, that's something that will be taken seriously as well. I think it's super, super important. I think this is the next step for creating a safe environment in a digital world. And yeah, nothing but good things to say about this. Like I said, I know it's going to frustrate some people. I know that there's going to be a community of people who are kind of like, oh, it's, I don't know, violation of my right to do what I want elsewhere. But what we've seen over the past several years in particular is there's no such thing as isolating yourself from your actions, even if they happen elsewhere, right? We've seen people get fired for things that they've tweeted or put on Facebook or places they've gone. And I think that that is right, that that's happening. I think it's a very, very good thing. I think it's the next stage, and like I said, keeping up legally and keeping a safe community in the midst of an increasingly digital world, because there are always consequences for what you say, how you present yourself, what kind of people that you spend time around. Again, I feel like we're going back to kindergarten with this a little bit, having to apply these principles to adult life. If you, after school, if you went out in the parking lot and got in a fight, you could still be suspended from school, right? You're less likely to get caught than if it happens in the middle of a school day. But there's still consequences for that. And so it's really, really nice as a creator to see that it's being expanded onto, it makes me feel safer to be able to stream on a platform where I know that the platform's going to have my back, even if it's somebody on Twitch, or not Twitch, but somebody on Twitter, or someone on Instagram in the DMs, or whatever that case may be, that I'm feeling unsafe from. They're still going to protect me from that as well. I think that's so, so, so important. Catching up on the chat real quick. G-Man says, I won some marble game in a Twitch stream once. Some rando in the streamer's chat started whispering me very explicit messages out of the blue. I reported it, and the messages were inaccessible. I assumed the user was banned. And Silly says, G-Man, that's insane. I'm sorry that happened to you. I agree with that sentiment. And again, I'm so sorry that it's necessary, but also I'm really glad to see that Twitch is a platform that takes action. Silly also says, they say we never leave high school, but I say we never leave kindergarten. That's the theme of this show for sure. And then Silly says, ironically, they'll care more about what happens to you on Twitter than Twitter does. I think Twitter is also making moves towards better protection, but it's difficult, and I get that it's difficult. And like I said, there's not that legal precedent set to protect these platforms when they do ban or whatever. So again, knowing that Twitch is a platform that's willing to dive into this and face whatever kind of backlash they might get to create that legal precedent, it's so important. Again, this ended up being a topic that I really, really dove into. So thank you guys for sticking with me through it. One more thing to chat about. Gosh, today we're just doing double time today. We're just going for it. I love this. Panda, shout out to Silly Fun Accurate. I concur. So, the next and last thing I'll chat about for today, but I think this is super cool, so I do want to chat about it. Humble Bundle is supporting two amazing causes in March and April, and yeah, I want to talk a little bit about what they're doing. So, as a company, Humble Bundle, if you're not familiar with them, they're known for selling digital content, including games, software, ebooks, and a whole bunch more. But what makes them different than most other things like that are that a portion of every single purchase goes to charity. So each month, Humble Bundle chooses a new charity to donate the accumulated proceeds to. So for last month, for March, it was Girls Who Code. This isn't even the first time they've teamed up with them, but I think this is super, super cool. The charity has reached over 500 million people worldwide through their advocacy work, online resources, books, and campaigns. Humble Bundle has always been dedicated to giving to charity with an ever-rotating list of new causes. So in the past, they've supported Make-A-Wish, WWF, Zadisha, just to name a few. And this particular one, Girls Who Code, is dedicated to closing the gender gap in tech jobs and estimates that it will be able to do so by 2027. That brings my heart so much joy that this exists, that it's being emphasized, and that they have a solid goal, and that they're optimistic about it. Like, what? This organization does not just, like, work with girls to make room for them in tech environments, but is also incredibly inclusive, dedicated to helping underrepresented groups of girls. I don't know why that was so difficult to say. So Girls Who Code is built on 3 core values: bravery, sisterhood, and activism. Through the program, girls not only learn about tech insights, but how to be ambitious, persistent, and resilient as part of the bravery tenet. Sisterhood within Girls Who Code looks like a diverse group of people who have different abilities, cultures, and identities that work together rather than apart. And then as for activism, the organization is not just about preparing girls for the workforce, it's about helping them improve and completely transform the workplace into a more inclusive space. Guys, I cannot emphasize how important this is. I feel like I'm a little late in the train, but I just want to gush about it for a second. They've done a lot of really cool things. They've been able to accomplish a lot of really, really cool things. And I've been learning a lot about computers in addition to games and all that since I started this. I've had a lot of fun with it. And it blew my mind when I learned that coding was a language and not math. And I'm a little upset because if somebody told little Ellie that... or even high school Ellie, that coding was language-based, then Ellie would be in a very different place right now. Well, so frankly, I'm grateful for my life. I'm not going to say that I'm not. But I love Girls Who Code. I love what they stand for, what they're doing. I love Humble Bundle, and especially them for supporting amazing things like Girls Who Code. So I do want to tell you about what they're supporting for April. And I lost my place in my notes, and so I am stalling a little bit. There we go, I think, maybe. We'll get there. All right. Here we go. So March's Humble Bundle ended on April 6th, but they're still continuing to work with Girls Who Code. Those who want to get involved with Girls Who Code can find out more on the organization's website. And then for Humble Bundle, Tuari confirmed the newest charity that will get a spotlight in April. The official statement says, Humble Bundle has a long-standing commitment to social impact. From fighting pandemics to uplifting communities in need, we have been fortunate to work with remarkable nonprofits on important causes and charities focused on issues that touch on education, environment, health and well-being, equity, and inclusiveness. For April, in support of the Asian and Pacific Islander communities where heartbreaking and senseless violence has been on the rise, Humble will donate 5% of all Humble Choice sales in the month to the featured charity of the month, Stop AAPI Hate. April's Humble Choice has tons of great games to choose from. If you haven't checked it out already, please go check them out. The main attraction is Sniper Ghost Warrior contracts. And so, yeah, now every single sale from the month of April is going to go, certain percent of proceeds will go to Stop AAPI Hate organization. And you get some really incredible deals on various video games, guys. Like, they're amazing. And yeah, I'm just going to catch up on the chat really quick. Silly says, this plus Twitch's new policies making gaming a safer place for females. 100%. And I'm living for it. I love it. I think, yeah, it's important, and I'm excited. And then Paige says, Girls Who Code is a great program. I've done a few groups with middle schoolers, and it was amazing. That's awesome. That's really, really cool. And then Wolf says, so we're partners in Humble and partners as well. Yes, you beat me to it. I was going to chat about that in wrapping up a little bit. But first off, shout out to Albright, who looks like you're on YouTube. And I almost missed your comment. So hello, welcome. And then Wolf saying, I got a crap ton of assets and coding books and software on Humble bought for me by others buying bundles. They really do have some absolutely incredible things that you can get. Like, if you have not checked out Humble Bundle, please do. Like I said, not only are you always going to be supporting a good cause, because they are always charity-based, but you can look up what cause they're serving in any given month, and they've got some incredible deals. And it's not just video games. They often have really cool games available, but they also will have ebooks. They'll have lots of different things involved in that. So since that's kind of it, and I'm going to wrap this up anyways, I want to thank you so much for all of your support, for watching, for commenting, for chilling with me in the chat. Today's been a lot of fun, a little bit longer than usual, and I'm living for it. Thank you guys for supporting me in my brain doing its thing today. I really appreciate it. So again, I do want to shout out Humble Bundle and our partnership with them. So for anybody watching on Twitch, you can go ahead and go down to the bottom of our channel's About section, and you'll see a logo that says Humble Partner. It has a link that will bring you to their site. So any bundle that you buy using that link will not only support the charity and the bundles, but you'll also support us as DDSI Entertainment. So if you haven't bought April's bundle and are interested in it at all, please do consider using our link. I'm going to go ahead and post it just in case anybody's watching on YouTube and don't necessarily have that link readily available like it is on Twitch. Boom. There we go. Yeah, check it out. Support charity. Always support us because you're awesome and we appreciate you. Yeah. I just kind of want to say thank you guys. Not just kind of, but Carrie says, nice seeing you and Rodney. Awesome partnership with Humble Bundle. Congrats. Thank you so much, Carrie. It's so good to see you in the chat again. Rodney says hi and appreciates you as well. And then G-Man says stoked for tomorrow's stream too. So, since somebody else brought it up, time for shameless pitch. For those of you who are not aware yet, I just launched my own gaming stream. It is called Elevated on Twitch. I'll go ahead and write that there too. If you guys are interested in watching me learn about what it means to game, I'm currently working my way through Portal. I've got a bunch of different options. Everything on that particular channel is up in the air, in that I'm up for feedback, and yeah, I'm up. Whatever you guys want to watch me play, I'll play. If you want to see me on a different day, I'll see if I can work that out. I'm just kind of launching and playing around. It's my play channel, 100%. Wolf asked for a link. Good question. Is it just like twitch.tv or something? Hold on. I'll find it. I promise. See, this is why I can't, like, yeah, .twitch.tv. I think that's it. Let's test it. Nope, that's not it. I lied. Somebody who knows how to work computers. Is it Twitch? Ah, that's it. It's twitch/name.tv, isn't it? So let me just double check, make sure that link works. This is awkward. It's fine. There it is. All right. It's going to start playing something automatically. I should have thought this through. I actually was not going to pitch my own channel today. But somebody brought it up, so hey. Also, Silly saying, do you have other social media accounts for your new stream? I do. I have not posted anything yet, but I did make social media accounts due to popular demand. So if you go check out my Twitch channel, link in the chat. There should be links to the social media accounts as well. I'm still learning how to do all of this. I don't want to take up too much time on this, but I appreciate y'all's support so much more than I can say. So yeah, if you have not yet checked it out and have any interest at all in watching me butcher my way through playing video games, please do check it out. Right now, my stream is on Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. 3 p.m. if you're on the other coast, so same time I do eSpot. I just figured I'd kind of make that easy. But again, I am open to different times, different days. We're just gonna work it out, and it's all about playing and learning and all these things. So, thank you for your support, personally, of me. I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for your support of DVSI Entertainment. We do have exciting things coming out. We've got a new album coming for Zombie in a Jar very soon. We've got updates for games, and I will obviously always keep you guys updated on what's going on. I cannot say thank you enough. So just thank you. Y'all are amazing. I love this so much. I appreciate you guys so much. And that's all I got. So I'm going to go ahead and bid y'all adieu. Have a phenomenal weekend. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow when I continue on with Portal. If not, then have a phenomenal weekend. I will be back here on Monday. DVSI channel, eSpot Live, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 3 p.m. if you're on the other coast. In the meantime, please make sure that you guys are staying happy and healthy and kind and hydrated. And as always, above all, make sure you stay devious.